Okay, you gotta plug in the sound. Okay. Need to rotate it a little bit so you can see me over here. Okay. I figured maybe it was a little, looked like it was a little off. There we go. All right. We'll check the volume real quick. And it froze up again. Every week. Every week. Okay, got good sound. Russ says he can hear me. All right. That stupid thing freezes up on me every week. I got to back out, come back in. So how you doing, everybody? Good to see y'all. As you can tell, I'm not feeling all that well. I went and got myself sick while I was on vacation. Not COVID. I took a COVID test, and I don't have COVID. Apparently, you can still get just regular sick. Right? There is still such a thing as the common cold. Maurice, welcome. First time? Welcome to the show. So, yeah, I was on vacation last week. Andy was in here doing some election day trivia. And all of y'all last week that won stuff, all your stuff is out, headed out to you. Yeah, I missed a big buck. I did. Monday morning. I was still hunting through a new area and saw 4 does, and I waited a few minutes to see what happened, and then pretty soon here come a big old buck, and I was caught out in the wide open and trying to hide behind a tree, and when he come up, he got about 35 yards out, and I was trying to shoot from around behind the tree, and the only thing I can figure is that when I reenacted the shot after I realized what I did, is that my string on my crossbow, when I was coming out around the tree, was hitting the tree, and I launched my arrow about a foot to the right and smacked the tree right in front of him. So, better a clean miss than a wounding. I'm glad that, if it had to happen that way, that it was a clean miss, because he was a really nice buck. Would have been the biggest buck I ever shot. And I'm glad that I didn't wound him and that he didn't go off somewhere and die, and that, never to be recovered. So I'll get a chance at him again, maybe. Who knows? If somebody else didn't. But, hey, that's part of the game. Saturday I did get I did put a small doe in the freezer, so my vacation wasn't entirely wasted. I got a little freezer meat. That was the only buck I saw all week. Was that buck on Monday. The rest of all the rest of the days, all I saw was does. So it was kind of a mixed rut there. 70 degrees, 75 degrees during the day makes for a hard hunting. It's warm. The deer are not moving that great, and I always like to see cold weather when I'm hunting. Keeps the deer moving. So, yeah, we got gun season coming up in a couple weeks, and we're going to get out there with this bad boy right here. See if we can get a buck. So, yeah. Before I went on vacation, we started talking about, build versus buy. Should you build your AR or should you buy an AR? Just to recap that, that really depends on you, personal preference. Do you feel like you're educated enough in the process to actually do it and to do it properly? Do you have the proper tools to do it? Do you have the time and dedication to devote to doing it properly? And all those things factor into should you build or should you buy. I don't personally own an AR that I bought. Every AR, I have 5 or 6 of them, 5, 6, I don't know. And I've built every one of them. So it just comes down to personal preference and what you want to do. Not to say that I wouldn't buy one, but a Ruger 5.56 or a Smith & Wesson M&P for a range plinker, they're perfectly fine, right? And if it gets you into the sport and gets you moving in that direction, that's what it's all about. But so you've decided that either you're ready to build. Even if you buy it, you will be building soon or modifying it, right? It's going to happen. You've decided you're ready to build, and there's a bunch of mistakes that you can make, and we're here to help you avoid those mistakes. And you've heard Russ say on here multiple times, if you've been around for a while, you've heard Russ say, let the purpose drive the build, right? What is it you want to do with the gun? One of the number one mistakes is not planning out your build, not planning what it is you want your rifle to do. Do you want a hunting rifle? Do you want a home defense rifle? Do you want a range plinker? Do you want a long range competition rifle? You have to think about all these things. Don't just rush into, I'm going to go out and buy a bunch of AR parts and I'm going to build an AR. And then this AR doesn't do what I want it to do because I wanted it to do this. And, well, it's because you didn't plan properly and research. So planning, excuse me, planning and research is your friend when it comes to building ARs. Excuse me. I'm going to sit here and talk, and my throat's going to get dry, and I'm going to cough. So, plan out your build and know what it is you want it to do. And, please, thank you. The next thing, right? A lot of us are on a budget, right? We're just common guys. We're working people. We don't necessarily have or want to spend $2,000 or $3,000 on an AR. So what do? We obviously want to build a nice rifle, but we want to build it as cost effectively as possible. And I don't want to use the word cheap because, we don't want to build a cheap AR, but we want to build a cost effective rifle that does what we want it to do. So there's a lot of places you can quote unquote cheap out. And there are some places you definitely don't want to cheap out. First and foremost is your barrel and your bolt carrier group. So, in here, in this gun, I have a Faxon. This is my, excuse me, 350 Legend. And I have the Faxon Gunner Profile barrel in here. It's a $200 barrel. Forget which bolt carrier group I have in this one. I think that's my FN. I have an FN bolt carrier group in there. So that's almost a $200 bolt carrier group as well. So between the barrel and the bolt carrier group, there's about $400 there. The barrel and the bolt carrier group is the heart and soul of your rifle. That's where all the action happens. That's where all your accuracy comes from. Those are the two main components that you don't want to cheap out on. Fire control group, you definitely want to put a little bit of money into that. The handguard, maybe your muzzle device, your stock, your grips, some of these different aesthetic things. If you're not looking for fancy, you can get away with spending a little less money on that kind of stuff and save yourself some money there. But, for sure you don't want to cheap out on the barrel and bolt carrier group. Going back to planning, right? Setting yourself a budget, knowing how much you want to spend. I want to build this rifle and I have $800 I want to spend. And that's where a build sheet comes in really handy. Having a build sheet with all the parts on it, going to these different websites and saying, okay, I can get this part for this much, I can get this part for this much, and boom, 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 my rifle's $900. Okay, where can I save a little money? And going through and doing some more research and finding those parts that you want. It's spending too much on the wrong stuff, right? Again, going back to don't cheap out on your barrel and bow carrier group. Don't spend too much money on the stuff that doesn't do a whole lot for you. The aesthetics, right? Obviously, you want good stuff, but you want to make sure that you're spending your money in the right places. Having the right tools for the job, right? Torque wrenches, vice blocks, vise. You can't put one of these together. Well, I won't say you can't. You can put one together with common tools, but there's just certain things that you have. There's torque specs, castle nut, barrel nut, different things that need torque to certain specs. You don't want to be shooting this thing and have your castle nut come loose, your barrel come loose. Right, you have a little explosion happening right here in front of your face, and you want to make sure that this thing is put together properly. So having the right tools to do the job. If you're just going to build one rifle, whoever, I don't know, nobody builds one rifle, but if you're just going to build one rifle, then you can get away with some cheaper tools. But, like a real avid tool set, right, Russ, $200-300 on a handguard, right? It looks great, it's pretty, but why spend $200 or $300 on a handguard? Spend that money somewhere else. Buy yourself a $150 handguard. Does the exact same thing for you, and you've got $150 to invest into the much more essential parts. We were talking about tools. If you don't have the right tools, though, this whole thing could become a disaster for you. You're gonna nick your gun up. You're gonna bang it up. You're gonna scratch it up. You're gonna, trying to cobble this thing together and clamp it down to a table, and it's just buying something like a real avid tool set for $200-300, knowing if you're gonna use it to build more rifles, you're also gonna use that for maintenance and upgrades and different things. So that's not a waste of money buying a decent tool set for your rifle. Don't rush into a purchase. Get what you want instead. Get what you really want. Wait. Like I said, a lot of us are on a budget and we don't want to spend a lot of money. So, excuse me. Don't be in a hurry. If it takes you several months, sign up for email alerts on the different websites where parts are for sale. Wait for Black Friday sales. Wait for 4th of July sales. Wait for Memorial Day sales. All the big companies do all these sales. Palmetto State, Primary Arms, all of them do big sales for the holidays, so you can get some really good deals and save yourself some money just by waiting a little bit and being patient. So don't rush in and buy something that you don't really want just because you're ready to finish your gun and you want to get it out and you want to do it and do it now. So be patient and get what you want when what you really want. After you've got your gun built, shoot it, right? How many of us have no guys or have guns? And I'm guilty, right? I've got a couple of guns that I built, and I probably don't have 50 or 100 rounds through them. I haven't shot them a whole lot. I have others that I've put a ton of rounds through. But after you've built your gun, you got to shoot it, right? If there's going to be something that fails, you want to know about it relatively quickly, right? You don't want to, okay, I put 20, 30 rounds through it, everything's good, I'm going to throw it in the closet, and when I need it, hope that it works. You want to put enough rounds through that thing so that if something's going to fail, let it fail so that you can then say, okay, I cheaped out on that a little bit, I'll go buy something a little bit better to replace it with. One of the biggest things I see, guys, they don't lubricate their gun enough, or they don't clean it properly. Right, when you first build one of these things, I had a guy got an upper from us and said, it won't cycle. I can't get it to cycle. It won't cycle properly. So I talked him through a couple things, and he's like, no, it still won't cycle. Well, I assumed, right, that he lubricated it, and I said, well, send the upper back to me, and I'll troubleshoot it. So it came in the mail, and that thing was drier than a popcorn fart. There wasn't a drop of oil on the thing. So I oiled it up real good. I had put it on a lower, and I racked 20, 30 rounds through it. Never had an issue. And I sent it back to him, and I said, you got to oil these things, right? They need, especially a brand new one. After they get broke in a little bit, maybe they don't need quite as much. But there's metal parts moving back and forth against each other, just like your car's engine. It has to have lubrication. So, let's see. Yeah, run them wet. That's it. I got actually, I don't know if you can see on this one, but I actually have, it's grease. I run a grease on there. It's a blue grease, and comes in a tube. You squirt it on there, and as the gun heats up, the grease melts and moves into all the places it's supposed to, and then when it cools, it dries. So I like the grease. I like that gun grease. And not cleaning your gun properly, right? After how many times, one of the first things I ask somebody when they tell me, hey, my gun's not cycling properly, it's not chambering this, it's not when's the last time you cleaned it, right? Oh, I haven't cleaned it. Okay. So, carbon builds up in your barrel extension. It builds up on your bolt face. It builds up in your gas system. You got to get that carbon out of there. Okay, that stuff is going to cause your gun to not run properly. You got to clean your gun. Maybe I don't clean my gun every single time I take it out. I do wipe it down, maybe run a bore snake through it, pull the bolt carrier out, wipe the bolt carrier down, and then grease it up and put it back in. But every 3 times at least, I'm doing a complete disassembly and tearing the whole thing down and doing a really good cleaning job on it. Because a clean gun is a happy gun that's going to run good. Don't modify or Dremel parts to fit. Please don't do that. I've seen so many times, I'm on Facebook and someone says, hey, my gun's doing this and blah, 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 blah. And somebody says, oh, take a Dremel and grind a little bit right here, or take a file and file this right there. Especially on a new gun. If you're building a brand new gun, you shouldn't have to be filing or Dremeling or grinding on stuff to make it work. If it's not working, something's wrong and something's out of spec. And, if you're not versed enough in the tolerances of parts, then that's maybe where we're going to talk next week about getting professionals involved. If you're not sure what's going on, you're having a problem, and you can't troubleshoot it, you can't fix it, and your buddy says, oh, just grind this over here a little bit, that's the problem. Grind the bottom of your bolt carrier group a little bit, or grind the catch on your trigger, right? Don't start grinding and dremeling on stuff, please. You don't understand how tolerances stack up and how things work. You could be causing more problems than good when you start grinding and dremeling on stuff. So, do not modify or Dremel parts to fit. One of the biggest things you can do to help yourself as you're getting ready to start building is pre-fitting. Putting your gas block on, making sure that it's not so tight that you can't get it on and not so loose that it doesn't, it just spins and spins and spins on there. That's probably not, I have a Dremel, I'm a gunsmith, right? Yeah, a gunsmith. Pre-fitting parts, getting them on there, making sure everything fits properly before you start there's Loctite you want to use in certain places. So making sure that everything fits properly before you start assembling it. And, you don't want to you're so excited, you're ready to build, and this isn't quite fitting right. All right, I'm going to use a hammer and I'm going to get it to fit right. Or, well, this is really loose, but, I'm going to go ahead and bolt it up and tighten it down and see what happens. As you're going through the process of buying parts, pre-fitting them and making sure everything fits properly. That way, if there is an issue, you think there's a problem, you can deal with it before you're ready to build. So, excuse me. This cold is killing me. So that's kind of the 6, 7, 8 major points there that you want to look at before you're getting ready to build or as you're building your rifle. Planning, not cheaping out on the major components of your gun, spending too much on the wrong stuff, making sure you have the right tools, rushing into a purchase instead of getting what you really want, making sure you shoot your guns and you understand them, clean it properly and regularly, and don't modify or Dremel parts to fit, and then pre-fitting your parts before you're ready to build. If you do a bunch of that stuff, you're going to be in a pretty good spot. You're going to end up with a pretty decent rifle. I always like to build, for the $700-800 that I can buy a clamshell style A2 rifle for, I can build a heck of a nice AR, right? There's probably about 12 without the optics. There's probably about $1,200 sitting here in this one. But this is my hunting rifle. So I spent a little more. This is the most expensive AR that I have. So I spent a little more on it just because, obviously the barrel was quite a bit more than I would typically spend on a barrel. And, I was looking for accuracy and I was looking for lightweight. So, because I'm lugging it around the woods all day. So, and that goes back to planning out your build, knowing what you want it to be and what you want it to do. I was looking for a deer hunting rifle that, weighs, I guess, I can support this thing if I can balance it properly. This thing weighs about 6 pounds. So I'm trying to find a place that I can balance it, and you can see how light this thing actually is. But, this thing is really lightweight, and that's what I was looking for. I got the lightweight receiver set. I got the slim profile barrel. I got a very lightweight handguard. I got a minimalist stock, trying to keep the weight down, knowing that I was going to be lugging this thing around the woods all day. I'm going to end up in bed early again tonight. I got like 10 hours of sleep last night. We'll try it again tonight. I felt better today. No, last week was archery. I was bow hunting. So gun season hasn't started yet here. It was all archery last week. So, us here in the Northeast, Pennsylvania and Ohio, our gun season starts the Monday after Thanksgiving. I gotta switch cups here. Dry throat from this cough. Terrible. So there's some kind of thing going around. They said RSV or something. Is that? I don't know what that is, but they said it has like you think you have pneumonia or something. I hope that ain't what I got. I don't know. But I took a COVID test. I don't have COVID. That's all that matters, right? Do a video on cleaning the AR. Yeah, we've done one in the past. We haven't done one in a while. Probably, yeah. In fact, probably after hunting season, that might be a good thing to do because, I'll have shot this thing a few times getting it sighted in, and hopefully I'll have shot it during the season at a couple of deer. And then, yeah, after hunting season, yeah, we can do a video on cleaning the AR. We haven't done that in a little while. Let me write that down. We'll do a complete bolt carrier group disassembly and everything with that. So we'll do a nice comprehensive video on cleaning. Sounds like a plan. Thanks, Maurice. Appreciate it. Sorry, folks, but if I don't get water every few minutes, I'm going to start hacking. So, yeah, I think that's about all I got for this week on the common mistakes that you'll make as you start getting into building your AR. And next week, like I said, we're going to talk about, when you're getting in over your head, when you've gotten in so deep that, you're not sure what to do. When is it time to pack the gun up and take it to the gunsmith, take it to a shop and let them have a look and see what's going on. That's like I said last week or 2 weeks ago when I was in here. One of the advantages of buying an off-the-shelf AR is that you have a warranty. And if something goes wrong with it, you package it up, you send it back to them, you get it fixed. When we build our own, we're kind of floating out on the ocean by ourselves as far as a warranty goes. The individual parts might have warranties, but the gun itself doesn't have a warranty. You don't have anybody you can pack the gun up to and send it to and say, here, fix this. It's not right. So what you end up doing is, obviously taking it to a gunsmith and paying somebody to troubleshoot it for you. But we'll talk about that a little bit next week. Like I said, how to know when you're in over your head and when you should call in the experts. Or at least get your buddies involved that have a lot more experience than you do, right? I've helped a bunch of guys troubleshoot guns. They've built guns and, hey, this isn't right, something's not right, blah, 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 blah. And, just talking them through the 4 or 5 basic things, it's failure to fire, failure to eject, failure to this, failure to that. Whatever it's doing, there's 4 or 5 things you want to check that you can check by yourself. And, you want to exhaust all those avenues before you take it to somebody that's going to charge you $75 to $100 an hour to fix it for you. Yeah, that's why I like to build. Once you build a rifle, you know it, right? Understand how it works. And when something malfunctions, you have a real good idea of what's wrong, why it's wrong, and how to fix it. And when you can see something broken, you know how to get in there and take it apart and replace that broken part. So that's, a lot of people are, it's so complicated, right? There's so many moving parts. There's really not much to these guns. They're really very, very simplistic guns. And, from the military standpoint, right? This was started out as a military gun. It's based off of the M16. So it's designed to be simple so that it can be fixed in the field easily and you can swap parts, right? You want to be able to fix it quickly and get back to in battle. You don't want to have a gun that is complicated and takes a lot of finesse and finagle. So these guns are very, very simple. There's not a whole lot to them. And once you really get into it and understand that, it's just a lot of fun, right? There's not much more fun than building your own AR and taking it out and having it go bang, and building your own AR and taking out, and actually if you're a hunter like myself, Russ, taking that gun out and harvesting an animal with it. I've killed a couple deer and half a dozen pigs. This was down in Texas with me a couple years ago, and killed a bunch of pigs with it. So just a whole lot of fun. So join me next week, and like I said, we'll talk about knowing when you're in over your head and how to get an expert involved. And I appreciate you guys joining me. I'm going to sign off because my throat's getting raw. Hopefully next week I feel better, all the way better. And appreciate y'all joining me. Thanks for the idea for the show coming up. Yeah, feral boar, wild hogs down in Texas. Texas is littered. I mean, unbelievable the amount of hogs down there. We went to a ranch down there. Me and my daughter's boyfriend, fiance now, and in 3 days of hunting, we saw 30 or 40 hogs, and between the two of us, we killed 6 or 7 of them. So, a lot of fun. You ever get a chance to do it, it's a lot of fun. My next one, I want to go down there and do the night hunting with thermal, with the night vision. That's my next. And then the bucket list hunt is hunting hogs out of a helicopter. Whew, that looks like too much fun. If you've never seen it, look it up on YouTube. Hunting hogs out of a helicopter. That looks like way too much fun. So join me next week, and as always, we appreciate you guys. Remember, you don't have to be an expert to build your own AR, to upgrade it, or maintain it. We're here to help you do that. We'll see you guys next week. I will be here next week, and then I will be gone the week after, and you'll have Andy again. So I don't know if he's going to do another trivia show or what, but we'll see you.